Hi, my name is Samantha Clarke. I'm originally from Norway House, Cree Nation, Northern Manitoba. This summer I was at the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs. Sorry, I'm nervous if you can't tell. So what exactly the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs is a political entity, is representative of 60 of the First Nation communities in Manitoba. And I just took an excerpt from the website that kind of summed up what essentially the AMC is and what what it stands for. So Assembly Manitoba Chiefs Secretariat was created to provide technical and support to the Manitoba Chiefs on common political, legal, and societal issues relating to the First Nations communities. More specifically, where I was in the Health and Social Division. And one of the major things that was occurring during my time there was the transition to a new entity, which was the First Nations Health and Social Secretariat of Manitoba. My role specifically was to work with the Upskilling Project, and even though it was a little delayed because of getting final approval with Ethics Board, the Ethics Board Committee, I did a variety of other things, but the Upskilling Project is to enhance research skills and resources within the community, building on pre-existing resources and building on them. So essentially building on what the community already has and taking them to the next step in order for them to take ownership and control of their own research possibilities for the future. So breaking down the preconception of what research is, the pre-notion of traditional research in a university setting, for example, was one of the issues that was occurring when I was doing the interviews. Research is more than in a university setting, coming in and kind of dictating what a researcher will come in and do. Want to break away from that and have communities take more ownership and be able to create relationships and foster partnerships in order to have the data that they want come back to the community in order to get programming and funding and etc. Also another part of the upskilling project was the creation of a toolkit. So it'll be a tangible kit that will be able to go to communities, and we'll be able to help people and community members make that next step. How can they bring researchers into the community? What types of projects have been done in the community in the past? And how would they be able to move forward and foster those relationships? So it's creating opportunity, essentially. So one of the things that I was primarily working on was the interview process and the focus groups. So there were 2 participating groups, and there were a variety of participants from various levels and positions. Also transcribing the interviews, coding, which is a little more difficult than I had anticipated, but it's a learning experience, that's for sure. And also reporting. But it's also important that while I'm transcribing that I take, sorry, I lost my train of thought. That I take that information, transcribe it, but also give it back to the community so that they can approve everything that was said, and if anything was misstated, that I will take that back and take in their feedback and move forward with that as before I move forward in the process of the final report. So once the data is collected, the research skill building activities will be composed, finding the gap in need and creating skill building based on those areas, collection of First Nation researchers and contact information, so seeing what researchers have done with First Nations communities, and how to get in touch with them. Also examples of different specific projects. So say a First Nation community wants to do something on, just thinking of what Dr. Cedro is doing with birthing, they would be able to look her up and see that she's done that and maybe contact her and create that partnership for the future. And also for another example, there was a draft of templates for research, so it could be anything from application for ethic boards or how to create project proposals just in general. So you're not necessarily dictating to people what you think that they should have, but they're telling you what they what they would like, and giving them the tools in order to do that. Other examples could be workshops, presentations, or online tools, but other mediums will be considered as communities require. It's just important not to dictate what they need, but just giving them the tools so that they can continue that work on their own. So there's a picture of the Assembly Manitoba Chiefs. That was pre-construction. We had a headache there for the summer, and sometimes we got sent home because it was kind of crazy. You hear this drone in the background. But all in all, it was a very central location. I found it very accessible, except for parking, but it was a central location for sure to get to meetings and things like that. So another part of my role was the survey data collection. So I was trained to collect data for the FINRE, so it's the First Nation Regional Early Childhood Education and Employment Survey, and that was a survey from the FNIGC, which is the First Nation Information Governance Committee, which is the national organization that houses the data and creates the surveys such as the Regional Health Survey, which is derived from that. So there's a 2-day training. I also helped with training of community members on how to be a data collector, it was really interesting because after I collected the data, I was able to travel to my own community and be a data collector for a week. And having that experience and that personal kind of, I know what you're going to go through. You're going to go through these challenges, but it's also very rewarding. And to see that data come back and be able to help the communities and have tangible resources for funding and programming is, we're working towards the greater good of the community as a whole. I also have the liaison or the balance. Well, one of the things that I saw being a part of the AMC is how surprising and how amazingly that they juggle. You're answering to the FNIGC, you're answering to Health Canada, you're answering to all these national organizations, but you're also talking with community members. You're also trying to communicate all the information between the different sectors. So I found that was, you're really creating balance within the communities, and you really have to be very good at your communication skills, which I don't really know that I am right now. I'm so nervous, but essentially I thought it was an amazing job what they do, for sure. So there's a wide spectrum of accountability. It's one of the things that I definitely learned. Okay. So this is the 3 principles in a summary, kind of essentially of everything that I lived and breathed while I was there. Free, prior, informed consent on an individual and collective basis. The First Nations principles of OCAP, so ownership, control, access, and possession. And the First Nations ethical standards. And I've learned so much about ethics and the process of ethics and the importance of ethics and going through the hoops of ethics. Also taking the Tri-Council ethics course, which I found was very interesting, and I'm surprised that they don't necessarily make us do it in some of our classes. That was very valuable and definitely did help my understanding. We kind of, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But it was funny how everything became full circle, how everything could always be reflected to one of the 3 principles. This is a part of the AMC Constitution, and essentially this is what we all hope that First Nations communities and researchers will all adhere to in order to do productive research and viable research for the future. So lessons learned, community and relationships. I value the relationships that I've was be able to create and be able to work with. I mean, some amazing people at the AMC, as well as community members that I was able to interview and work with. Always be prepared for the unexpected. Learn how to use a real map. That was one of the things where Dr. Canoe kind of laughed at me. We were going to Dauphin, and she's like, "What high?" And she handed me a physical map. She's like, "Which highway are we going on?" And I'm like, "Well, I have my Google Maps right here, but I don't have reception." So that was one of the challenges for sure. And traveling, no matter what happens, you'll always have a backup plan. Whether you're stranded in an airport for 6 hours or you break down on the number 6 highway and have to hitchhike, which totally happened. But It was always an adventure and a learning experience for sure. And I just thank you to my mentors, Kathy Knew, Leona Starr, Jamie Cedro, Leon Gillis, and Krishna, who's last, but he's not here. I was going to bug him. So special thanks to AMC and to the MDP program. Thank you.